What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for January 7th, 2023. Sixers update. A lot of fun was had. They came out on the losing end. We didn't necessarily get to eat at Xfinity. The wait was too long, so we just went in, had some chicken Pete's, crab fries, and chicken fingers inside the Wells Fargo Center. Kids had a blast, played some air hockey, walked around the stadium, saw the dance team. Ella loved that. So just an all-around great day. They loved it. They hung in there for the whole game, cheered and booed. Very proud dad moment there when they booed the refs and the Bulls, which was amazing to see. But a good time was had by all. And now for the game itself, Zach LaVine was just out of his mind. And I didn't really realize it till we were walking out and hearing Tom McGinnis on the radio speaker that he was 11 for 13 from threes. And I mean, that's just ridiculous. It seemed like every time they would make a run, Levine came down and hit a shot. And there was no Joe, and I can't really put this one on Doc necessarily. Harden sat out a good chunk of the beginning of the fourth quarter, though. I'm not sure if he was injured or what that was about. But you could tell they missed Joe. And I think this game, to me, summed up and basically confirmed that Joel Embiid is your MVP. I mean, they had no inside presence. I mean, they were shooting like Montrezl Harrell is a good. He is what he is though, and he's a good bench player, good backup. He's not going to give you the minutes that you need when Joe's not in there. And it just seemed like every time they took a shot, nobody was down low to grab an offensive rebound. It was bizarre to me. And when Harrell was in there, they got more rebounds. So I don't know whether that was Doc's small lineup. I don't know if that's something maybe with the trade deadline coming up, they need another big guy off the bench. But it was the first time I really was able to kind of where we were sitting and was able to see the whole floor. And it's just the rebounding, like that's something they need. But like I said, you could tell if Joe was in there, it totally would have been a different ball game. But either way, very, very fun time with the family. I'm very impressed with the kids and proud of their knowledge of when to boo and when not to boo, which was impressive, very impressive. Even with a couple of the guys sitting around me were like, this is awesome. But Sixers lost. Hopefully Joe's foot is not necessarily a long-term thing and it's just sore and it's kind of a load management thing. But they definitely need him. And, I mean, to me, he's the MVP. I think he should have been the past 2 years anyway. But just to me, the MVP is, look at Jalen Hurts. You take that player off of your team, and they're just not as good. And they're a completely different team. So, to me, we have two MVPs in Philly this year. So speaking of Hurts, he's officially listed as questionable. For me, that I think it's a safe bet that he's going to play. How much he plays, I don't know. I think a lot's going to be determined on what the Giants actually do. Word on the street is from their beat writers that they're not going to play their starters, but we'll see. I mean, it's a big thing of gamesmanship. Now, ironically enough, and I do want to put this out there, it wasn't that long ago. And since this is Philly sports history, I don't know, it definitely wasn't this day, but it wasn't that long ago that the Giants were bitching about the Eagles doing what the Giants are doing to the Cowboys. If you remember, that was when Dougie P benched Wentz to put in Jalen Hurts, benched Jalen Hurts to put in Nate Sudfeld. And Washington came back and won. And it knocked the Giants out of the playoffs. Remember the year that they were 6-10, thinking they should have been in the playoffs. My. Fast forward a couple years, Giants fans, and yes, Giants are number one on my hate list, even above the Cowboys. So, but my, how the tables have turned, and now all of a sudden, because it's convenient for you to rest your starters, you're screwing over Dallas, and I'm not hearing anything. Just saying. It's whatever. But so it looks like he's going to play. Again, I don't know how much. Josh Sweat probably is not going to play, but that's okay. And the fact that he was even in the discussion is great. CJ Gardner-Johnson is available. I don't know if he is what they're going to do with him. I would say probably if they could get away with it with the Giants backups, leave him one more week to kind of to rest up. I don't know, but should be fun. We'll have more on that game tomorrow. But today, this day in Philly sports history, January 7th, we're going to go back to 1980. And we're going to talk a little Flyers today. And I saw a guy probably does something similar to me, but it's Flyers based, going on a rant, basically saying the same thing I'm saying, that stop winning. Like the fact that they've won 4 games in a row. And like it was pretty funny. I should have copied down his username. Maybe I'll tag him. But I don't know what they're doing. But on this night, or this day, back in 1980, one night after they beat the Buffalo Sabres 4-2 and extended their unbeaten streak to 35 games, which is, I think, the North American record for most games unbeaten. And that's not without a loss. So there's ties in there. So I guess that includes hockey, all the 4 major sports the other 3 major sports in America. I'm assuming then that means somebody has a longer one either in like South American soccer or European soccer or something. But either way, going 35 straight games without losing. They started the streak on October 14th, and going into January 6th, they had won 35 games in a row. But on this day, January 7th, they got blown out by the Minnesota North Stars 7-1 down at the Spectrum and ended that 35-game unbeaten streak. And all the articles and interviews I read from the players, they knew it was going to happen eventually. And it was kind of, I almost got the sense they were almost relieved that it happened. But it's still pretty damn impressive to go from October to January without losing a game. So they ended up splitting their next 2 games. They won, and then they lost again. And then they went on another 11-game winning streak. So this Flyers team was pretty good. Unfortunately, they would go to the finals, and this is when the Islanders were like in their heyday, and they're like golden era of Islanders hockey, and they lost to the Islanders 4-2 in the Stanley Cup Finals, which, I mean, think about it. You had a 35-game unbeaten streak and then another 11-game unbeaten streak in this season, and you don't win the Stanley Cup. And I think a lot of that is where Flyers' bitterness and just being upset comes from, and not winning a cup since the 75 team. But either way, this day in Philly sports history, the Flyers' 35-game unbeaten streak for the 79-80 season came to an end with a blowout 7-1 loss to the Minnesota North Stars. But it happens. Pretty impressive. Sixers' tough loss last night. My Owls have a big game today against Tulane in the AAC. Can they make it 4 in a row? They're playing at home, I believe. And I don't know if it's this week or next week the students come back. So they might have a pumped-up crowd there for the game. Hopefully they're able to. Thatcher makes his basketball debut today, so I'll have more of an update on that tomorrow. So it's just a overall just basketball weekend here in the Montgomery household. But go have yourselves a Saturday. We will give you more of an update on the Eagles, and we'll do our pick tomorrow. But until then, I'll see you when I see you.